Okay, so welcome to the Brown Skin Blueprint. Today we have a special guest who happens to be my cousin. Angel, I'll let you introduce yourself before I introduce the topic.
Okay. Well, hey y'all, I'm Angel. I don't even know what to share. I'm Brittany's cousin. What do I do? So I have a background in higher education. My master's degree is in higher education and student affairs. Love working with students. Currently, I work for a nonprofit that's focused on racial justice and climate change. And I'm also serve as a consultant for a higher education institution. And in my free time, I love fashion. So I also have like a styling business. I love thrifting. I thrift a lot. And yeah, I love being an auntie and a friend. And yeah, those are a little bit of things about me.
Yeah. Oh, come through. Okay. Right. Okay. Today's topic is going to be called PWI versus HBCU. We're going to talk about that, but we're also just going to talk about like college in general and some of our experiences. I guess we can go ahead to the first bullet. So, Shawana, I will let you take it away.
Alrighty. So first up, in your opinion, Angel, why do you think that there is so much debate behind which one is better? Because I think all of us live in Twitter land, and once in a while it comes up. Oh, I went to HBCU, you get better experience, yada, yada, yada. It's not the same. Why do you think there's so much debate?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think there's a lot of debate around it. I think especially like around Black History Month too, it becomes like this big ordeal of like, oh, I went to an HBCU or oh, I went to a PWI. But I think it boils down to like the student experience, and everybody experiences both HBCU and PWI differently based on your own lived experiences, your background, your family, and all of that. So I really don't know why it's a big debate about PWI versus a HBCU, because I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your experience. So I really don't know if I have an answer to like the why the debate. I do know I see it more around like Black History Month. There's this big debate of, oh, I went to a HBCU, so I'm a better Black person, or I went to a PWI, so I had a better experience than going to an HBCU, because people love to clown HBCUs, especially like I don't know if this is true, but like the financial aid office, and they love clowning HBCUs based on experience. I don't know if I would just put that out there to say, like, to bash all HBCUs, because stuff like that happens at PWIs. But it doesn't be like, oh, all PWIs are like this. But when that happens at an HBCU, it's like, oh, I'm never going to HBCU because I heard all of them are like this. It's just like being like Black versus white. Like if a white person does something, it's like, oh, that person did this. But if a Black person does it, it's like, oh, all Black people are like that. And I guess that's a different conversation. But yeah, I don't know if I can really answer that question directly, but it comes up like you mentioned, especially on Twitter and social media.
Agreed. Brittany, what about you? Why do you think there's so much debate about which one is better?
Honestly, I think, even though, like Angel said, that is a different conversation, I just think it's about, it's almost like they make you feel like you disowned your people or something because you didn't go to an HBCU. It's like you're just supposed to have this loyalty that, I know that was the only option we had at one point in time, but it's almost like you're just supposed to have this loyalty to go to HBCUs, like regardless of whatever. So I almost feel like, I don't know. It's kind of like Angel said. It's like you're not like a Black person or something because you chose to not go to a historically Black like institution. So it's just, I don't know. It's almost like two sides of the coin. It's like people don't understand why you wouldn't go to one, and then people are like, but why would you limit yourself to just go somewhere because it's a historically Black college? Like you're ruling out so many other factors. So it's almost kind of like why and why not, but it's like your answer could really never satisfy anybody. But I do feel like the argument to me just never makes sense because I don't know why people care so much about where people go to school. Like, people's feathers get really ruffled by it, and I'm just like, why are you so invested where people get their education from? Like, at the end of the day, it is about like personal experience. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's like that. Why would you and why would you not? Like, I think that's kind of like the undertone of it.
Yeah.
What you think, Shawana?
I feel like is
say it.
I feel like it's like an elitist mindset type of thing, because when I think about jobs that actually care about if you went to a HBCU or if you know what college you went to, it's usually like I think about if you pledged and stuff like that. So if you're a part of like an organization, so they're looking at, oh, you went to this school, you pledged this specific sorority, and it's normally like in different categories. Like you don't normally, they're looking at what the degree is you had, did you meet the requirements? They're like, most people I just know have not looked at that. So I feel like it's more, I feel like it started with like a caste system type of situation. So it was like, oh, at a HBCU and you're a Delta or you're an Alpha, this like you're assured to get a job. So why wouldn't you want to, like, I feel like it was like a caste thing at first, but now it's so broad and it shouldn't be. Even though I don't agree with the whole, I mean, I love Greek, and I was on the step team, and I'm not Greek, but just I feel like a lot of it was like intertwined initially, and like that was a cool conversation there because it actually like y'all, it's like factual. So I think it's pointless, especially somebody like me who didn't even know what a HBCU was. Like I just knew I was supposed to go to college. I had no like real education on like even going somewhere that like specialized in your major. Like I didn't know anything. I was just fresh in. So when it happened, I definitely was like, why? I don't get it. Like did you get your degree? That's my question.
So to that point, like so you just said like you really didn't know. Was it talked about at all, like amongst y'all's like family, like which one was better? Where should you go? Because I feel like that plays a part too in people's decisions. Like some people think be gung ho, like no, that's where you need to go, and we not having no other discussions about it.
My dad was big on it. He really wanted me to go at the time I was in Virginia, he was still in Georgia. He wanted me to go to Spelman. But I was like, I ain't going there, it's all girls. It's not even like you think, like you should go. I didn't, but he wanted me to go to a historically Black college. But even then, I still didn't really understand. Like I didn't get it. He was like, you should go to an all Black college. And all I thought in my head was NSU, and I wasn't going there because I wasn't going to NSU. Not that anything wrong. My mom and grandma went, and I was like, no, I want to go somewhere else. So
yeah. For me, it was, so my parents, they just wanted me to go to college. So it wasn't like, oh, you need to go, because they didn't go to college. So it was all about, we just want you to go to college. Right. So it wasn't like, oh, you need to go to like the HBC, like you said, the HBCUs in the area, Norfolk State or Hampton. It was like, we really just want you to go to college. And I did apply for Hampton. I applied to Hampton, Norfolk State, and ODU in the area and got into all of them. Hampton, of course, was really expensive. And I guess that's a different discussion point. Some private HBCUs can be really pricey. And I knew I didn't want to take out a whole lot of private loans. And then Norfolk State, I felt like Norfolk State, for me personally, it would have been just like high school. And I'm like, oh, I want to kind of branch out a little bit and go somewhere else where I can get a different experience. So with the family background, it was just, oh, we really just want you to go to college.
Same. My parents didn't go to college. So for them, I had to go somewhere. They weren't really picky on where I was going. They just wanted me to go somewhere. So yeah, there was no real conversation about that. Angel, I do want to talk about something you just said though. George Mason gave me the most money. That was my top choice though. So then, I did apply to other schools and I got into other HBCUs, but the school that I wanted to go to, which was a PWI, gave me the most money. And sometimes I feel like people don't want to talk about that when, they praise historically Black colleges. And I get it. They are not financed the same. They do not always get money the way PWIs get money. But that did play a factor. Like, I mean, I was gonna go to Mason regardless if I got in, but yeah, they were also, you know, giving money because I was a minority also. So I feel like that's something that people like don't talk about, but I feel like it worked in my favor that I was a minority going to a PWI. So yeah.
That's why I told you. I had a full ride.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
I ended up having to get loans because I started doing bad after my sophomore year. So I had to go to summer school. And then I got pregnant, so I had to stay longer. So I still ended up, I could have had a full ride. They paid for them 4 years.
Yes.
Because
that's really good. For me, it was ODU covered my tuition, but for my housing, I had to end up taking out loans for my housing piece. And I do, like, if I would go back on it, well, I enjoyed living on campus. So I don't even know if I would go back and say I would not live on campus because that was a part of the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just a good experience.
Yeah. I stayed the freshman year. I stayed on campus, and then I was home the rest of the time. But
which building did you live in?
The worst, girl, Whitehurst.
Okay.
I wanted to be Rogers so bad. Oh, you was in a good. Oh my gosh.
Well, mine wasn't really any better. It was in a good location, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
Our building was the oldest dorm, Brittany. The one I was in, the oldest. And my first pick was Howard, Hampton, and then ODU. Hampton didn't send me my acceptance letter until the end of August. I had already accepted ODU. I was moving. You know, I'm fixated. I was not going anywhere else. So I went to ODU, and then I didn't even apply to Howard because I didn't want to get you didn't get in letter. So I didn't even apply. So I was like, okay, ODU or Hampton. So
people had choice worse for me because I got into Howard, but I didn't choose to go there.
Really? Wow. I didn't even.
It was like a, what? Really? Like, why wouldn't you? Because I didn't want to.
Exactly.
And in all honesty, I toured both campuses the same day, and Howard just didn't feel like me. Like, even my daddy said something. Like, I think he probably saw my face and was like, "Yeah, this ain't it." It just, when I got to Mason, I was like, "This is like where I want to be at." Howard just wasn't me. Now, don't get me wrong. Homecoming time. Oh yes, it's like 20-minute drive. Every homecoming, absolutely, I'm going. It's just no other place to be. But I think for like my college experience, I was just like, no, like this just not for me. But yeah, people had, like, even people I went to school with, like, not just adults, they were just kind of like, what? You don't know how? Yeah, because it just wasn't where I was supposed to be. Like, yeah.
I admire that.
Yeah.
I just feel like everybody has something to say. It was just like, okay, whatever. With that being said, of me feeling like that's where I fit, what factors play into where we wanted to go outside of, we just had the money conversation, but what was like your deciding factor? Like, okay, this is like where I'm going for sure.
For me, it was, well, I wanted to stay close to home. So Dominion was like literally right up the street. So I knew, like, at that point, I was just not ready to go far away. And even George Mason, probably to me at that time, would have felt like far away. So I wanted to be close by my parents. I don't know why, but at the time I did. So that was definitely a huge factor in choosing ODU. And then the campus, it was nice for me at that time. I enjoyed being on the campus. When I toured the campus, the people were friendly and nice. I also was accepted into the honors college. So that was nice. I didn't get to stay in the honors residence hall because I was accepted into it later. I actually applied to it later. But just being accepted into that was like its own little community and benefits and resources that came with that. So yeah, that's just a little bit of it, of like the fit of it. And then once I got there, I had a good experience.
Good.
Same. I wasn't ready to leave either. I didn't want to go. Like, Hampton was going to be the furthest I went. So it was that. social wise, like I had my little group of friends, and it was like it just seemed like all of us was there. And I felt seen at ODU. Like it felt like home. It just I felt like I could just be, and I was myself. I can't believe how much of myself I was actually. Wow, I'm embarrassed at the Facebook memories right now, but I was free to be me, and I thrived. So yeah.
Y'all, I was ready to leave. I didn't apply. The closest place I applied to was Virginia State. I did not want to be here. Like, I was just like, yeah, no. Like, I knew out of state, there just was nobody was playing for that, first of all. But yeah. Did I go to Indian River?
No, Angel.
I went to Oscar Smith.
Oh yeah, same school you went to, Britt.
Yeah.
Okay.
We went to middle and high school together.
Yep.
I didn't know it was my cousin.
We found out we were cousins.
In like 8th grade. It was like 7th or 8th grade. We
didn't know. It was later. Yeah.
So crazy.
All world.
But yeah, I knew I didn't want to be here. I'm still not quite sure how Mason even got on my radar, which is so strange. But yeah, everything just ended up panning out. Like everything that I really wanted for like my college experience, I was just like, okay, this is working. And I was like, this is going to be my top choice. And if I get in, I'm going to go. And that is where I went. So if y'all could do it over, would you go to the same school? Or if you could go to an HBCU, because I've been to both, would you go to an HBCU just for the experience?
I would have applied to more places.
Okay.
And I feel like if I would have did that, I might have chose a different route. Okay. I liked my school experience. I don't know. What I did say is I wish I would have went to undergrad at an HBCU and then grad school at a PWI. That's what I said I wish I would have done. Because college, the best parts of college for me was not what I learned. It was the social part. So
for me, I'm trying to think. So like he said, I loved my college experience. I did work at a HBCU full time, and just to see the students go through their experience, I'm like, sometimes I was like, I wish I would have experienced that as a Black student on a campus that was set up for Black people, especially like even like now it's Black History Month. Like at a HBCU, Black History Month is every day. So it's like you have all these different things going on, focused on the Black experience, and businesses coming on campus wanting to talk with Black students and wanting to recruit Black students, not just because they're Black, but based on their skill sets. And they know that they need, more Black people in the different fields, career fields, because they're not finding that maybe at other places. So I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know if I would have went to an HBCU because I loved my experience at ODU. And actually at ODU, I felt like I had a Black experience, not an HBCU Black experience, but a Black experience because I was intentional about having, Black friends. I was intentional about organizations with other Black people who look like me. So I guess it was some intentionality around that. So yeah, I don't know. Like you mentioned, maybe HBCU for undergrad, PWI for grad school. And I went to 2 PWIs, one for undergrad and one for graduate school, but in totally 2 different locations. Because for grad school, I was in Iowa, which was like 99% white. So that was totally different from being a student at ODU now, which considers itself, I believe, like a minority servant institution, not just a PWI. But when we were there, it was a PWI. So yeah, I don't know. It's like, I don't know. I had a good experience, but would I go to an HBCU for undergrad if I had to do it over again? Maybe if I had people in my ear telling me about the benefits of it. Yeah. Because I didn't have that. It was just like, we just want you to go to college.
we definitely had a Black experience at ODU. We should talk, the ones who came in 08, we should talk about it all the time. Like, people from NSU was coming there. We would go there sometimes. Like, we definitely, it felt like an HBCU for a little bit, not the support part, but as far as the social parts
of it.
I'm glad I got to experience both. I would say same. Like, and I don't really know that Mason can be classified as a PWI because we had like a lot of like international students. So there were is a lot of diversity at Mason, which I also felt like made my college experience unique because I met people that I probably would have never met otherwise had I would have gone somewhere else. But same, like even like on the social level, like the parties and like the events and stuff, like in the moment, I don't think I was that appreciative of it, but like looking back, I had a really, really, really good college experience. And then going to a HBCU for grad school. Now, while I couldn't like party and stuff as much as I want to because I was too busy, I did appreciate how did you put it, Angel? It's like Black History Month every day. Like, I like the fact that, like, you know, at any given moment, it might just be like a DJ playing music somewhere. Like, stuff like that, you can't really, like, put a price on. So I did appreciate the fact that, like, I was just amongst my people. And I felt like the support was different than when I was at Mason. Not that it was better. It was just a different vibe that I was just, you know, amongst more of my people, I would say. So yeah, I think that would be it. Yeah. I'm glad I got to experience both though. I don't know if I would change that.
I have a question. So since we're talking about our personal experiences, the way that you envision your college experience being when we were coming out of 12th grade, did your experience pan out in the way you expected? If there were some ways that it did, how? And how was it different than what you expected?
The first thing I can think of is, so I was one of those people who I was very sure about what I wanted to do when I graduated. When I got to my final year, I was like, okay, I can't do anything for real with this bachelor's in psychology, nothing I want to do. So I came to a crossroads of what is going to be my next step. So I think for one of the first times in my life in like a major way, I was really kind of unsure of myself. Like, not, you know, obviously in high school, we don't know everything, but I really was kind of like, this path that I had in my head that, you know, I was going to get this psychology degree and I was going to be able to help the masses. As I got closer and closer to the end, I was like, okay, that's not going to happen. Which is how I ended up getting my master's in social work. But I was anti getting a social work degree before I went to school because of lack of knowledge. I was like, I don't want to work at social services. Like, I ain't trying to work in CPS. So that was kind of like a complete turnaround for me because I just didn't know. But I took a social work course my last year, and my professor was the one who was like, you know, not trying to tell you what to do. If you want to talk after class, like, basically, if you choose this path, like, these are all the things you can do. So in that aspect, that was one thing that kind of caught me off guard. For the most part, I feel like, I kind of feel like my college experience was what I thought it was going to be. Some of the bad stuff now, I don't know if I saw some of that come in, but on like the lighter side, I think it was what I thought it was going to be. I didn't appreciate it in the moment, but it was a really, really good experience overall.
What about you, Angel?
I'm thinking, so when I went into college, I majored in communications. So my undergraduate degree is in communications. But once I got on campus, I got involved, then I changed my of what I wanted to do after I graduate to like working in higher ed. So that's why I ended up going back for my master's degree in higher education, because I met some phenomenal people, like campus leaders on campus and professionals who were doing what I wanted to do at the time. So yeah, going into college, I knew that communications, broadcasting, I wanted to be a news anchor. I knew that that was what I was going to do. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then closer to graduation, I'm like, no, I really don't want to do that. I want to work in higher ed and help students, because I was just naturally like a helper. Like I would tell other students, like, we have this resource, you can use that. If they were like at a crossroads. So I'm like, I'm really good at this. I should do this after I graduate. So yeah, totally, completely different path once I got into college. But yeah, I don't know. When I signed up to my freshman year, I had 8 o'clock classes. Nobody told me not to sign up for 8 o'clock classes. And as a freshman, you're out on a Tuesday night partying at like 12 midnight. Like it's just like natural for you to be out on a Tuesday partying. Not sure what I was thinking, but I had 8 o'clock classes. Like who told me to do that? So I would change that. I would go back and do that again, because I don't know why I signed up for 8 o'clock classes.
Well, we were in that high school minds. Like, we were thinking we do this like at school, not knowing like, baby, we not gonna be getting no sleep up the next morning.
Like, who told me to do that? But yeah, it was good, because after I got the freshman year out the way, I really was like solid on, okay, I'm not gonna be partying like this like I was as a freshman, and I was working on campus. So it was all pretty like smooth sailing until I was like you said, at a crossroads of like, okay, I'm not gonna use this degree because this is not what I want to do anymore.
Right.
So yeah.
What about you?
So I too, my plan, I went in for communications and English journalism because I was going to write for the newspaper first. And then I'm going to work my way up and do this. And sophomore year, listen, negative, not doing it. And I was just like, girl, that's when I thought I was going to be a rapper, singer anyway. So I really was like, if I do not find what I'm passionate about. And so another reason why I loved going to ODU, the diversity. So one of my friends, her name was Jasmine, and she was not Filipino. She was Indian. She was going to the psychology club meeting. And so, because we had one of our prerequisites was one of them science courses, and she was telling me she wanted to be in psychology. And I was like, oh, I like helping people. I want to counsel. I'm going to do psychology. Same thing as you, Brittany. Negative. Like, definitely not what I thought. Now, current day, though. So the social part of college, I will say, kind of panned out. It was better than what I expected. And it was just as far as, I wish I would have, been more knowledgeable about where I was going. And like, as far as the job field, specifically, like what I should have been, like, which was probably like social work at the time. Now being an adult, I wish I would have continued with journalism and mass communications, honestly.
Same.
I wish I would have kept going. I wish I wouldn't have changed my major. But it's okay, because I'm figuring it out.
It's never too late.
Right.
Angel, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So since you've been like on the other side, higher education, what are some things you feel like people put like too much emphasis on, or like they focus on, but in reality, when it comes to like being at college and, getting into certain schools, like they kind of don't really play a part? Like, what do you feel like people should be focusing on that they don't, and then they put too much emphasis on something that doesn't really like make a difference either way?
Like when it comes to choosing a college?
Yeah, or even just like the atmosphere, like when they're trying to consider like they're trying to go, like, yeah, so getting in and being there, like what stuff they worry about that's really not, that big a deal, and stuff that they maybe should pay attention to that they forget about.
That's a good question. So I know people put a lot of thought into residence halls, dorms, when it comes to picking a college. Not sure if you should be focusing on that per se, but you should be focusing on the current student's experience. So like you should be on campus talking to students. Like if you're a high school senior, you should be on the camp, like going on campus tours, talking
Yeah.
to students, and not just talking to the students who are like the student ambassadors, right? But like talking to students who are not a part of the student ambassadors, because they're trained to tell you the best parts
Right.
of the campus when they're giving you a tour. But getting out of that tour and just talking to a regular student that you see sitting on the bench or something on a step, talking to them about their experience. I think students, high school students, should focus on, okay, what are students currently experiencing? Because that'll tell you a lot about a college campus and not just like a flashy building. So yeah, definitely.
I agree. That played a part in me picking Mason, because I knew some people who went there, but they weren't like close to me like enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know how somebody can kind of sell you like, oh girl, you need to come here because I'm going here. But even just them telling me about their experience, I was kind of like, this sounds like a cool place to go. So yeah, I agree. That's a good point, because I don't feel like prior to that, I kind of lucked up. But prior to that, I don't know if anybody told me, you know, go walk around and like talk to people, or at least see if somebody, you know, will tell you like the nitty gritty of how stuff is. So that was a good point.
Yeah, because the ambassadors, like I said, they're trained.
Right.
Like I've been on that other side. They're trained to tell you like the pretty parts of the campus. But once you talk to a student that you just see in a dining hall eating about their experience, they'll tell you like some things. And then you'll talk to, not just getting that one person's experience, but talking to several students about their experiences.
Gotcha. I have a question for both of y'all. So, considering everybody up here has had some kind of entrepreneurial venture, how do y'all feel about the whole, like, we're kind of in the state now where everybody's like, you know, college is a scam. We don't really need college anymore. How do y'all feel about that, and how it's kind of, you know, played a role in where you are? Like, do you feel like you need your degree, or you need it to get the degree you got to do what you're passionate in? I feel like this is another Twitter thing that comes up all the time. Like, you know, everybody thinks that everybody is supposed to be an entrepreneur and a boss, which I disagree with it. I don't think everybody's not built for that.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? And then, yeah, what are your personal thoughts about where you are current day?
I'll let you go first, Angel.
Okay. I'm like, wait, who's going first? So I think my degrees, and my master's degree too, I think they're both have been vital as it relates to networking. So if I wouldn't have went to college, I wouldn't have the network that I have today. So I think really college is helpful as it relates to your network. And that's a point that folks sell too of going into an HBCU, because there are a lot of successful Black people who went to HBCUs. And then, like, you know, once you become a part of that lineage, it's like, oh, you're a part of that person's network. Just tell them you went to so-and-so HBCU. They'll look out for you. So I think college for me too was about the networking pieces. Because I was able to build a network that like my parents weren't able to get me a part of, because they didn't have that type of network. So I think even if I don't utilize like my degrees to what I'm doing today in my current position, they help me to build a network where I have sponsors, I have mentors, I have people who I can contact to say, hey, I'm doing this with my business, or hey, I'm looking for a job, or hey, I'm looking for a consultant role that I want to do, or hey, like I need this, or can you get this person in contact with this person? So I think the networking piece for me was huge. But yeah, I definitely I saw something the other day about like we took out student loans to go to college to pay back student loans. So I get it. But yeah, I think the networking piece for me has been huge, even with like my styling business. Like I have clients who I've went to school with, or I've connected with from like that school, or from somebody in my network who I met at college. So
gotcha. What about you, Shawana?
So kind of similar. I don't necessarily need my degree that I have for what I know I'm supposed to do now, but I really don't feel like I'd have got to where I am if I had not have, because I feel like psychology the science behind it helped me practicalize spirituality versus it helped me like make it practical versus mythicizing it, and that has really helped me step into like my purpose. I feel like so I can't say that I would change it because, and same thing too, like I'm still connected. Every job that I have worked in that field, I'm still connected to in some type of way, even like on the other side. And it's all benefited me. So I know it was God the degree I have is the one that I have, and that the places that I've been is where I've been. But if you go by, I guess, like documentation wise, protocol wise, no, I don't necessarily need it. But yeah, it's just afforded me so many opportunities that I know I would have had to like literally probably look up to get, because of the networking piece. So I don't regret it at all.
Same in multiple ways. So first things first, I've definitely had that experience where I felt like somebody like noticed me or chose me based on where I went to school. I've had George Mason brought up in interviews. I've actually had a supervisor say something about me going to NSU after they hired me, and they told other people like, "Oh, she went to Norfolk State." So completely agree. I think that certain people look at certain institutions and they automatically either click with you or they feel like, okay, I can trust this person because they went to XYZ. And same with the networking, like all my references are like my supervisors from like my internships when I was at Norfolk State. We Facebook friends, like the support is still very much there, and I graduated from Norfolk State in 2014. So completely agree, like that network was definitely needed. As far as my degrees, I tell people all the time, grad school really taught me time management. Like, I just don't know if I was that organized prior to going to grad school. I always try to be ahead of the game and I wait to the last minute to do stuff, but grad school, like, put that in turbo mode. So I wouldn't take any of that back because it really kind of, I feel like it prepared me for the real world because nobody is going to tell you when a bill is due. Nobody is going to tell you, you only got 2 weeks to get such and such done. So I felt like it prepared me in a lot of ways that I needed to be prepared. And then just for like my passion projects, I am deeply connected to mental health and healing. So I feel like psychology and social work and just navigating how to help people, like regardless of what I end up doing, like I definitely needed those pieces to be like where I am right now. So yeah, same. Would I get all those loans again? No, but can't change that right now. But yeah, same. It was needed on multiple levels. So yeah.
Okay. So I think we hit all the bullets, y'all.
We did.
Sure.
Oh, nice.
That was.
I did want before. I don't know if we can add this in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But I was just thinking too, as it relates to like that networking piece. Like, so the college system was set up for white men to be able to advance and to be all that their ancestors wanted them to be. It was not set up for Black people. So that's like I think one of you mentioned it about HBCUs come into play because the college system period was just not set up for Black people. So that's why HBCUs came about and then started to create like this whole networking experience for Black people because that's not what college was set up for. It was definitely set up for the white man to advance. So I do see like people having debates around that too of, well, HBCUs were set up for Black people. So why would you go to a PWI? But then Brittany, you made a good point about that financial support. PWIs do have more financial support, especially to offer to marginalized communities because they want diversity, they want inclusion on their campuses. So I think with this conversation, it's just important to like make a note that like college, it was set up for the white man to advance and not Black people, period. So that's when HBCUs came in. And then of course, that's when PWIs are like, okay, we need to diversify our campuses.
Yep.
Did y'all have any negative experiences at ODU? Like racial experiences?
For sure.
I didn't.
I did. And we stayed in the dorm. So in Whitehurst, it was the first year ODU had a football team. So on one side of the building was all the football players. On the other side of the building was like everybody. Well, no, they were kind of scattered, but there were a lot of the white members of the football team were from Nova and up north, and there's a lot of that up there. Like there is a caste system. They used to talk about it all the time. And so I remember when Obama won the election, all of the black people from Whitehurst was outside. We was drinking. We had Jeezy playing, whatever. And some of the white people that were staying in the dorms were out the window and was like, nigger, like saying the N-word. Like, and it was almost a whole riot. Like, all the black football players was down there and took their shirts off. They was like acting like they was about to go. I thought they was gonna burn the dorm down that night. It was crazy. Like, it was crazy. The few times that happened, it was at a party. I think we was at a frat party one time too, and like a white dude and a black dude was about to get to fussing because one of the white dudes said something to one of the black girls. So it happened a few times.
Oh my gosh. When you said about Obama winning, that was such a great night.
Oh my God.
It was.
Marching around campus, that was just like, yeah, that was a great night. I didn't have like a direct racial experience, but we had like this late night cafe called Ike's. It was only open from like 9 to 4. But we would go there like after parties, and sometimes they would have a DJ and like karaoke and stuff. So my freshman year, some white boy, or I don't know, white people had made like a website of like, I hate when niggers be at Ike's. So they had like all these like examples of like how they hate when black people are in Ike's because they be in there dancing. So it was like all the stuff they hate that we do when we would be at Ike's. So it ended up getting reported and they ended up taking it down. But it was like wild reading that stuff because it kind of makes you uneasy because you don't know who's posting the stuff, obviously. So it's like, yo, do I got a class with this person? Like, who is this? But it was just like so many people just like talking about how they just hate when black people were in Ike's and the stuff that we do. And I was just like, oh my God, like, what in the hell? But yeah, it got reported and it got taken down. But it was definitely one of those moments I was kind of like, child, I need to be here because of what is going on. But other than that, I don't think anything like directly ever happened, but that was one of the moments where I kind of felt uneasy. So yeah.
Now, if y'all would ask me that about my graduate school experience living in Iowa, that's a whole nother podcast episode about racial experiences because it was a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Whew. Is Iowa like there? How many black people did you see like on a regular basis? Would you say?
So I lived in a college town. So that added, like, I think Iowa State had, when I was there, maybe around like 32,000 students. And I believe like maybe 2% were black. They had a large international student population at that time.
Gotcha.
So I would see international students, and thankfully with my degree in higher education, like it's a lot of marginalized folks who go into higher ed. So like in my cohort, there were I think it was maybe like 3 of us black students. And then we had some other BIPOC students in our cohort that helped the experience. But just in the town, it was hard. Like sometimes I would be the only black person in the grocery store, or like the only black person in JCPenney. So it was like these different, and they had a small mall. That's why I say, like JCPenney used to be my store because that's really all that they had. They did have a TJ Maxx too, like when I was leaving. But yeah, it was experience of being the only in a space. So that could be difficult. And I remember one time I was at a park, and with my boyfriend at that time, like these guys rode past and called us the N-word. Like we were just minding our business. So that was difficult, but thankfully, so I am in a sorority, and my sorority chapter was in Des Moines, which is the capital of Iowa. Des Moines is the capital of Iowa. So it was a lot of black people there. So I was able to get that experience too of going to Des Moines, which is about 45 minutes away from Ames.
Gotcha.
And be around more black people. But yeah, it was definitely an experience that I don't know if I would relive it. I did have some great moments there. And then like other graduate students saying like, oh, like you all are only here because you're basically like on a scholarship. Like you're only here. I don't know why they're paying for you to be here. It was just like those little comments. And then I do remember this one experience, and I'll wrap this up. This man told me like he worked in facilities on the campus, and at that time I worked in residence life, and he was basically like a colleague. So he told me that I reminded him of this song. I went back to my office, listened to the song, and it was about slavery and Black people being hung by chains. What? And I reported it to my supervisor, and he still had his job. They were like, well, do you want to have a conversation with him about it? I'm like, no, I'm not having a conversation. Like, this made me so uncomfortable. So it was just stuff like that. It was hard in some moments. Like, some moments I'm like, I can't believe I came to Iowa. But thankfully, I was able to build a good solid of support through, like, friends who looked like me, because we had to rely on each other in order to kind of like get through that experience, because some days it was hard and then other days it was good. Definitely highs and lows.
Wow.
Kudos
what
to you.
The world.
The right way, because honey, I can't even.
That's cool.
I don't know how I would have responded. Like, they don't care. Like, they don't care.
I see, and that is one thing I do appreciate about a PWI. I think because there were times I was the only in classes. And my minor was sociology. And I think just some of the ignorance, like not even directly trying to be like prejudiced, but literally they have no other experience outside of what they grew up experiencing. So just being in sociology classes and having these discussions and just hearing them say certain stuff, and I'm just like, yo, you really have grown up like either sheltered or you're probably from somewhere where it ain't hardly no other races there. But I think I needed that because, as y'all know, I mean, when you go into the world and as you know, get these jobs, you're not working with like a whole bunch of Black people. I have had that experience. It's very nice. But most of the time that's not the case. And yeah, it be some real ignorant people, you know, in different settings. So I felt like Mason prepared me for that. Cause yeah, I used to be in some of the classes like, what planet like are you from? Like what planet? Like we had a lot of African students and they were like so cool. Like I don't know, people be saying Africans are I've never had that experience. They were like the nicest, coolest people ever. People would ask them, like, have they seen like giraffes and like lions and stuff? Like, do they have them in their backyard? And I'm like, when are we going to get to the point that people, like, there are parts of Africa that are very rich. There's like, they're civilized. Like, people are not walking around barefoot, but they literally like used to be like, you know, do you have like lions? Like, you know, when you look out your window, like, I don't know, but anyway, that could be a whole nother conversation. So any advice, any last thoughts about college, any advice on choosing where to go, anything you feel like would be helpful to our listeners or somebody who might want to go back after being out of school forever? Anybody can go.
Yeah, I think one of the best advice is just to go where you think that you'll thrive, not where your mom or your dad is telling you that you would thrive, or your auntie or your friend. Go really where you think you will thrive, and you'll know that from just setting your foot on the campus and talking to people, and just going with your gut feeling too. I think that's good advice.
I would say if you're going to do it, make sure that it's something that you at least have some type of passion for, because that really gets you through those rough points where we just want to quit and give up. If it's something, you know, try to find something that you really like have a passion or desire for. If you're unsure about college, I don't know. I feel like we put a rush that you have to like go straight out of high school sometimes, or like you have to, there's a time frame where you need to go if you're going to go. But I feel like I wish somebody would have told me to wait until I knew surely what I wanted to do before I went. So I would say too, if you're not sure, don't feel rushed to make a decision. Like, let yourself be sure first. Like, don't just, because I know I went and then kind of figured out what I was going to do as I was going, because I didn't know much. Like, I didn't have much education. I probably would have chose a bit of a different route if I researched a little bit more beforehand. If I even knew, like, yeah, and then made a decision, because I probably would have chose a different major and stuff. So yeah.
A combination of what y'all said. I definitely think, wherever you decide to go and whatever you decide to do should be because you want to and not because somebody else is telling you to go somewhere or telling you to major in something. Yeah, go see how you feel when you're actually in that environment. Like, is this going to be the place for you? And then I wish I would have had like access to people who like could give more guidance on what I should be majoring in. So yeah, kind of similar to what Shawana said. Like, if you can research that kind of stuff or even talk to somebody who is in the career that you want to be in, I feel like that is important because that's a lot of money to be wasted. So yeah, before you make that commitment, I would definitely say if you can get, as many of the things crossed off on your list as you can, because you can't, in some aspects you can't go back once you're in it. You can make changes, of course, but sometimes it can be hard to change that. So yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Okie dokie. Well, Angel, we want to first just thank you for coming on and kicking it with us. I feel like we gave a lot of good knowledge today. Before we go, can you plug yourself? I know you said that you have some passion projects you work on. I know I'll be seeing your Angel Who Thrifts page, and girl, yes. So definitely plug yourself, any social media outlets you would like people to find you on, follow you on. This is your time to do it.
Yes, thank you all so much for having me on this podcast. It was definitely a great conversation. I do have a thrifting blog. It's called Angel Who Thrifts. You can find me on Instagram at Angel Who Thrifts. I have a styling website and Instagram. It's AWT Styling, which AWT stands for Angel Who Thrifts. But it's a styling business. So I style people. I specialize in like brand photo shoot styling. I do personal wardrobe updates, closet refreshes, and special events fashion styling. And I do virtual and in-person styling. So I really enjoy it. So you can find me there. I'm also on Twitter at AWT Styling as well. And then also on Twitter at In My Halo. I have so many different social media accounts. I'm like, how do I even keep control of all of them? But yeah, you can definitely find me on social media.
All right, you guys. So make sure you follow. Brittany, you want to take us out or?
Sure. Make sure y'all follow Angel. And I'm not saying this because she's my cousin. Angel has had style since we were younger. Like, she has just always been
my style younger was tacky though.
But at that time it wasn't tacky. It wasn't
I know.
tacky. You gotta think about the times we were in.
Yeah.
You owned it. Okay.
Yeah. Angel is always a trendsetter. So follow her, follow us at Brown Skin Blueprint on everything. Like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and yeah, we'll see y'all in the next episode.